Hi, what's going on YouTube? I got this arm back, and I know I did a short walkthrough of what was going on with this arm. Um, with the blue arm, on my last video, and I just wanted to again thank Doc Strangelove. I have not been able to find the video that you made that put so much energy my way, and I'm so grateful for that because I just feel like it just pushed me over the hump. And I was like in Maine working on a country song whenever that video was made. But one of the questions I wanted to answer in this video was from somebody asking what kind of metal this was, and I was like, to get real specific, that I think it's 661, mostly 661, and then there's a little bit of steel in it. And I think I talked about before. I don't know. You guys can't really tell, or maybe you can tell, that the elbow moves even smoother now because my dream of putting a roller in there actually happened. George, I call him San Antonio's Tony Stark, actually put in a roller to offset something I hadn't even explained fully yet because I was like hush hush about how I got the elbow to move. But I coded 550 cord, and I had some rubbing issues because just the way the elbow was moving. And so he put a roller in there, and so wicked. I can't wait to train with this. I haven't trained with it, much less like with lifting weights or anything like that. Much less shooting guns or doing any kind of like super advanced movements. But the elbow is so much more smooth. And to answer some questions before I even um, get to them, I just want to make sure I keep showing what people are asking about in motion, because in my last video I didn't have this arm and I was just talking about it. But yeah, so I had a roller installed, and people ask about the specific metal. This is 661, but um, uh, to get back to people asking about the weight, it actually still lighter than this arm. Even though this new part that he put in there is steel, still lighter than these arms. And I think that is in large part due to the fact that I asked George why he thought it was lighter still, uh, and the guy who made this arm, he thinks it's the batteries, specifically the batteries. So maybe I think that the goal of making this arm as good as possible before trying to make it for other people is still in in our list of things that have to happen. And getting this roller installed really, like, just to show you guys how much smoother the elbow moves, it's crazy. And like all the training that I do, because I feel like I have to make the most out of this arm, because I understand how much data has to come out of me to make a prosthetic worthy of making for other people at a large scale. But yeah, so to answer the question, um, from the comments that I wanted to pull, there was a 661 aluminum, and then steel, stainless steel. If I'm not mistaken, this is all aerospace. And you guys could ask and answer those questions for me. That it is mostly used in aerospace. His background is, like I said before, mostly aerospace. But yeah, so I'm so excited for what we're still working on for this arm. What's planned to make this even hardier. But and then another question, specifically because I haven't even got to train with it since it was. Oh, and also here on the forearm, I like to refer to this portion as the forearm. He made the bolts bigger. Made these bolts bigger to Okay, that was terrifying. I've actually never done this before. Whoa. So he made the bolts bigger for me to be able to go into high speed mode much faster. He connected the forearm part to make it essentially just one piece now, because I was having some issues going to high speed mode. And what I call high speed mode is essentially just being able to take that part off so I can like uh, boxing, running, anything where I want to put less weight on this side is much easier to do now, because before I had to take off twice as many screws, and from different parts to this was actually two parts before, and so now it's just two screws and they're much bigger, and I had a problem with stripping them. But yeah, so I call this the forearm, and I want to multitask. So continue answering the questions as I put this back together, because I know y'all probably love how metal this looks. So yeah, so he put the roller on there. Double time. Yeah, put the roller on there and made it move smoother, but also the forearm is now one part. But I wanted to answer another question specifically about shooting, because I haven't got to do it yet, and I'll get to see it in practical application whenever I do it. But magnets. So I do have a magnet harnessing specifically for shooting. I did take it off because it was hard to get through airport security with it on, because it was just something that was bulky, and I did like using it specifically for holding metal things on here. But I took it off, and if I would use one for putting on pinche for mag reloads, right? And I could see why people would go to that for reloading. Why I like it, because it is tricky. Mag loads is tricky. I'm slower than I would be, two armed, and especially it's hard because holding the weight of I have to hold the weight of the arm plus the rifle. Even with my RDB, it gets to be a lot. So let's say I'm holding my rifle, and my elbow is locked. I'll typically lower it to here, and and the pistol grip will be here, and then I'll do all the action here, right? Just because it's hard for me to hold that arm up the whole time, because I'm carrying 7-8 pounds of metal already. That's not natural to me, and that's different than, you know what I mean. Like, I'm not Winter Soldier. I do know, it's like it just gets to be tricky, because the longer I hold this up, the more weight I put on this side, which can be cutting off my circulation. With the rifle, it gets super heavy. So I wouldn't put a magnet here, because we're trying, if anything, to cut more weight off on the metal side. And so I would rather, one of my goals, and maybe with the help of YouTube, would be to create a hand that is better than this hand. We didn't make this hand, we made the elbow specifically for tactical kind of stuff. But if it's tough enough to do tactical things with, if I designed it, I would want it to be tough enough to lift weights with, to be waterproof. And so I think that there's just not an all around hand to be able to do those things with. That's not, this is never going to be waterproof. uh, I talked about the open circuit last time. Not going to be anytime in the future, anytime in the near future. So I think that one of the goals would be to create a metal hand that could hold things better than this. And I think the weaknesses of this, specifically like when I go to the range, I'll get to talk about this more. But I want to answer questions in between doing those things in case I break it. You know what I mean? I am pushing this thing to the limits just because I'm aware of how limited prosthetics are now, and I want to be able to, get these better. So in case anything happens to me or the arm, it'll be in the pursuit of progress for this arm specifically. But yeah, so making an arm with those goals in mind, and specifically my gun, I had kind of adapted to this hand and my claws. I made the grip as big as possible. People are like, why is your grip so exaggeratedly big? And it's just because with my any hook that I use to grab it is kind of like, bare bones. This is the one I do use with it. But even if it fails, I want the spring in this to be maxed out. So I made my grip as big as possible, because this is a very narrow, especially compared to my human hand. This is a very narrow grasping point, and so that means it's going to move a lot, as opposed to 5 fingers and a thumb. Whenever I grab a grip, I'm forming, and it's a much wider surface area, right? So my goal for creating a hand that would be able to train, lift weights with, because I can't lift weights with this one because it's just kind of a bad design. It's just the hook of it opens right here, so the spring is never going to be strong enough to grab something, more than 5 pounds, maybe not even 5 pounds. It'll always open up if you're going by a spring. Me, I would want to design a claw that closes like this, more like a flexed hand, because that means that even if it fails, um, it would be failing. You know, it would be a lot harder for it to fail. That would be a better engineered design for somebody like me, for a prosthetic. So yeah, sorry. I got to rambling, but I just wanted to show you guys the new motion of the elbow, because I'm so excited about showing you guys that, and to look out for my episode on the Unsubscribed podcast, just because there's so many questions that they asked me that I was like, man, these are a lot of the questions that I get on YouTube and TikTok. YouTube, I will use. I can use weapons training. TikTok is a lot of other questions, but I was like, oh man, I learn from the questions that y'all ask, because I'm like, I'm not a space engineer. I do learn. I'm like, oh, what do they think? Like, cause y'all have mentioned things like, and this is getting to be longer, but I do want to, if any of y'all stick around for the little longer rants, some of the questions y'all are asking that I haven't been able to respond to, because I do have one hand. Doing the social media stuff is one of my limitations, because I only have 3 fingers that work well, and so just overuse is a thing. So the phone stuff is hard for me. But some of the questions you guys asked about gimbals and camera stability things, I was like, oh, like I see what they're saying. Like maybe I would design a hand. If we could repurpose parts or whatever, because that's how this all started. Was thinking that, like, hey, what if we just stopped thinking about what's already there, and we were just like looking at what we want to accomplish for function and movement. And so I agree with some of y'all's comments about like the motion of specifically camera gimbals, and I was like, oh, I agree, because this wrist is limited, and but I do think that if I did make another hand, I would want to remember to put a wrist on it, because a wrist is important, especially if you're above the elbow. And yeah, so I just wanted to shout out that podcast. Thank you so much for to Stock Doc Strangelove for making that video. I haven't even found it, but I see all the support that I got from that, and I think that the tactical community came out in support because of that, and to look out for more of the content, and that I'm getting from your guys' questions. I'm getting from y'all's questions about limitations, why I did this, why I didn't do that, and learning. So it's cool. It's cool. It's collaborative. I really appreciate everything. So like and subscribe, and I'm still trying to go over all the comments from all these other videos. So I do try to make videos based on what y'all's questions are, because they make me ask, like, do I even know that answer? Let me do some research before I say that I that I've like I'm not an engineer, so I have to. I'm just Mexican. I'll do it myself. I'll figure it out, and I'll build it if I can build it. But I just it's cool. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.